having come here, not being able to speak more than 2 words of Chinese, how important have you felt is learning the language and getting in touch with the culture here?
I think it is really important, and I think it's important for perhaps a counterintuitive reason, less for the direct communication with colleagues or clients, because I think a lot of those conversations, at least in our industry, still happen best in English, where we can fully articulate because a colleague's English is near fluent. My Chinese is still intermediate and slowly improving. That said, I think it is important though because it shows that you care. It shows that you're here, that you're actively engaged, that you're a member of the community, and though you're still limited in that capacity, you're invested, and you're here with a smile, and you're enthusiastically progressing in that journey as you go. And I think Chinese are very, very kind of open and acknowledging of the challenge in learning a language so different. And many have high empathy because they've been learning English and struggling with that, which is a totally different language the other way as well. So I would say it's really, really important to make time for that study and to make it fun too. So whether it's working with colleagues or collaborators or just some kind of a Chinese circle or Chinese lunch date that you have a couple times a week, those little things, they show you care, they immerse you better, and they will also help kind of bridge the gap of cultural understanding as you go.
How did you come into your niche, right? Like you had this idea for Dia.com.
Mm-hmm.
Did it come as a fully fleshed out idea, and how has it changed depending on how you've seen the market grow and change here?
Yeah, so it has evolved many times over. So I had a North Star beginning, which was I'm passionate about expanding education access. And so that's been the mission from day zero. But the model has been emergent. So it initially began as a pilot program for my Cambridge dorm room. And it was kind of part of a class project to see if I could actually get something going. And the initial iteration was actually doing academically honest proofreading on personal statements. Because I learned that, look, most zhangjie, study abroad agencies, they'll just write an essay for you, they'll turn it in for you without you even seeing the contents. That to me is crazy because you actually can learn so much through the struggle of articulating your own personal vision. Really, really challenging, definitely, but worth every moment of effort in my view. And so we wanted to build a pilot program around that. And so, charging between $49 and $199 US, we would provide varying levels of service with a Cambridge University student or graduate, depending on your budget, would kind of help oversee this process. And the pilot program was successful. We were able to earn $20,000. Wow, like this is incredible. I feel just amazing about this. There's an opportunity here. And so we were actually the first group to offer that kind of DIY style edits, which felt really great. We realized that, hey, our impact is still limited, it's still relatively niche. How can we do this at a bigger level? And then came the second era, which was informational and inspirational content. Think short 5-minute videos on how to write a captivating personal statement, or how does an admissions officer read your application, or what does a recommendation letter need to look like? Very, very kind of bite-sized, but guide you in the right direction. And accompany that with our first kind of blog. We call them Diet Insights. And as we began sharing this, well, all of a sudden our reach began to grow. It felt really, really good and felt really exciting. We then started stacking more services together and innovating to kind of the next level. As groups see our DIY, they begin kind of copying that model. And so it's up to us now to say, hey, how do we actually expand the impact? And so we were able to batch more of these services and begin working with you not only in the 2 weeks before you apply, but hey, how about the 2 months and 4 months? And over time, we extend the tenure there up to 2 and 3 years now with more holistic mentorship and development before you've even figure out where you're applying or what you'll apply for. We want to make you a stronger version of yourself and give you more direction and guidance and holistic development. And so at every turn, as we've continued evolving with more of a scholarships focus now, more of a holistic development focus, we've innovated the model and how we actually pull this off. There's now a high-powered technology platform behind this. There's now integrated content, flipped classroom style, where you can actually learn a lot before your mentor lesson. And you now have the chance to work with up to 7 mentors on your journey for different role models to actually inspire you in different ways as we go forward. And so, yes, the model has evolved significantly, but we're true to our mission. We're trying to expand education access, and we back that up with scholarships. So we've helped students earn more than $25 million US dollars in scholarships, and we provide pro bono services for numerous scholars that would otherwise be unable to afford this life-changing opportunity.
One of the things that I think can come as a shock to people about the Chinese market is how quickly it changes and how much is happening here, the speed of business. Like when you started WeChat, probably it wasn't that big of a thing, and now it's everything. Right?
Yep.
So how do you make decisions that are important for the future of your company? Like when you're thinking long term, okay, this is a decision we're making today, but it's going to have an impact. When you know the speed of your business is changing so fast.
Absolutely. So we actually predate WeChat. That's how old we are. So we were on rinrin.com, the Chinese version of Facebook that kind of hit its peak in 2011, 2012. And so we were, that was kind of our first wave, even way back then. And I remember hearing about WeChat and thinking, like playing around with it a little bit and like, wow, this could actually be something, because it's a very, very smooth way to message your buddies and to share photos. And that's basically what it was back then, and obviously it's so much more today. But our mentality is always, we're gonna split our, we're gonna have one eye on what's working now, and we're gonna keep investing in kind of, we call it copyright. So we'll copy the thing that's worked really well for us, keep doing it, the tried and true as we go. Simultaneously, the other eye is on exploration. What's ahead? What's like the next innovative step that we can take to keep at least one step ahead of the folks nipping at our heels? And we were one of the first, if not the first, group focused on study abroad education to actually have a WeChat channel and to be building a following there. And that first step is useful because you start learning more about a platform and its parameters as you go. We have the same approach to webinar platforms. Every couple weeks or months, there's a new venture-backed webinar platform. And we do a ton of video. It's part of our social mission. We don't actually charge a dime for attendance because we want to help people that want to help themselves. And that's our approach to webinars, and we're always trying to find what's the hot new platform that has the best functionality, the lowest bandwidth requirement. So we try a lot of these, simultaneously using the tried and true as we go as well. And that'd be advice I'd have for other entrepreneurs pursuing your China dream. You've got to figure out what's working for you. Invest in that, certainly, but don't get caught flat-footed. And as soon as the next big thing is the next big thing, you're 10 steps behind a competitor who tried it out when they first heard of it. So as an entrepreneur, you're always juggling. You got so much to do, but for me, maybe it's a Friday afternoon or a Saturday morning over coffee. I'll download a couple new apps, just play around a little bit, and I'll send over to our recruitments team or to our enrollments team, hey, check this out. This might be worth our time. They'll do more of a deep dive on it, but at the very least, you're showing that you are attentive to what's ahead. And I think that engenders an appreciation for that innovative culture that we've really sought to build over 5+ years here.
So having established yourself here in the industry, but knowing China and that it's continuing to grow, what would you say are some of the untapped opportunities that still exist here for people who are starting to think of setting up their own thing now? Yeah,
so I think one lamentation I've heard a number of times, even back in 2012 when I first set up shop, I heard, oh, if only I was here 5 years ago. And I've heard that, you hear that at almost every reception with someone that's relatively new that has this idea that feels like they've been crowded out of their opportunity. And I think the flip side of that is things have never been better for an expat entrepreneur here, or any entrepreneur, in that the government is putting a ton of resources, more and more and more each and every day, behind entrepreneurs. In this little district of Shanghai, Wujiaqing, there's tons of government grants that we've tapped into. We got 100,000 RMB of seed funding that no strings attached. It was literally a grant to, hey, we're glad you're in Wujiaqing, Godspeed kind of deal. It's like, wow, like literally free money as an entrepreneur. That's just amazing. 6 months of free office space over here. So those opportunities are more and more plentiful every day. And so it's never been better from a resource standpoint. The funding ecosystem has never been better. I mean, the number of venture shops, angel shops that are coming up is just incredible. So if you've got an idea that you're pursuing, fantastic. Go network, go meet some folks. They are looking to write 250,000 million RMB checks. Go find it. Go get it. Simultaneously, there's so much talent in this marketplace that startups went from being, oh, I'm sorry that you couldn't find a real job, to being something that's like, wow, that's really great. Tell me more about this. And even the Chinese moms, dads, and nai-nais are getting behind it as well. So get from a talent perspective, it's never been better. And then from a kind of a consumer maturation standpoint, consumers are more and more willing to try the cool new thing, and that's getting better and better each and every day. So there's, I think, bountiful, plentiful opportunities, and there are a number of entrepreneurs now that have exited or they've gotten funding that are now looking to mentor and to support and to encourage. And so I think it's incumbent on us as entrepreneurs trying to find our path to go out there and meet folks. I talk a lot about luck surface area, and I'm always encouraging our team, we got to get lucky. Let's make our luck surface area. And that's one of my core messages to other entrepreneurs too. We're going to make our own luck, and we're going to do it by getting out there and hustling. And so roll up the sleeves, get out there, meet folks, and it's a blessing that you're here today, 2018, hustling in Shanghai.
So one of the things that I know you're famous for is that you run as well, an ultra marathon runner. Like I've seen crazy stuff across the Gobi Desert, across Malaysia. You swim as well. So all sorts of these sort of different endurance activities. And sometimes you see that at the very highest level. Like I hear about Richard Branson, and he's a big adventurer too. So what's the connection there between your business and this other whole side of your life?
Yeah, so it is a huge passion of mine, and I think there's a direct connection. For me, it's kind of two levels. On one level, I think it's the perfect metaphor for startup life and startup leadership. In order to be successful, building a new venture, building a business, building an organization of your dreams, it's a marathon. It's not going to be one sprint and now it's done. It's really the tenacity to stay at it, to persevere, and to push past obstacles and to turn those into opportunities. And I think in a lot of ways that's the mind frame of an endurance runner, an endurance athlete. You've got to push past setbacks during training. You've got to get up early in the morning or stay up late at night to get your training and get those miles logged as you go. And I think that's the attitude that I bring to CEOing Diet.com, and it's the attitude that more and more of our team is kind of embracing too, with by drinking the Kool-Aid as we go. And so I think it's a powerful metaphor. Second, on a very tactical level, it's also my best thinking time. So when you're CEO or a senior leader at a startup, every question seems to come to you. Hey, what should we do with this? What should we do with that? The number of decisions I make in a given day is easily in the dozens, upper 90s. I think in a lot of days. And at the same time, the best thinking time I have to myself to work through those 1 or 2 or 3 big strategic challenges or that big decision point. It's that 3 or 4 or 5 hour training block where I'm just pumping out mile after mile after mile, thinking through this one kind of hairy challenge, this Gordian knot on my desk. And more times than not, by 7:30, 8 a.m. as I'm finishing this run, getting ready to head into the office, I've got pretty clear kind of action items on that, and I know how I'll proceed with that. So instead of kind of being a deer in headlights frozen on that decision, I'm able to do kind of, I think, what my most important job, help make the decision and then put the resources behind how we're going to execute that effectively. And so running has been wonderful in that respect, along with just managing my own psychology, keeping me healthy, keeping me fit, keeping me smiling despite like the stresses of day-to-day battle in a startup. So it really plays to each of those angles. And it's also a fun way to break up my calendar too. So I work 7 days a week because I love what I do. And at the same time, every couple months, I'm going to go out and race. I'm going to go out and a lot of these are 2 or 3 day events, and that'll be my long weekend. And I'll come back, I'll share photos with the team, a couple of lessons learned, and then have a chance to share that with some of our scholars. Film a little bit about the meaning behind a little bit of this to kind of rally our troops and get folks thinking about their big goals. We're all about goal setting here at Diet.com. Everyone in the company has a list of personal and professional goals. Every one of our scholars does as well. And me by sharing this, I think it takes on a new life form where you say, hey, even like the CEO's doing this, like I should too set some goals, work toward them as I go. And that keeps us much more balanced because we're very holistic in our development of each and every team member, each and every scholar as we go. And this is one way I try to lead by example.
That's perfect. So the work-life balance thing is a big problem, and especially here in China, I find, right? Because there's just so much happening, stuff happens so quick. It's easy to allow yourself to get distracted and to get overwhelmed.
Yep.
So what would you say for people who are like getting into it and they just find like, I have no time to go train, right? Like, who has time for the gym or to work out or to have that balance? How do you make sure that that's an integral part of your life?
Yeah, so I start with the rocks in my life, like the biggest pieces that just have to be there. So I've learned as I've gotten a little bit older that I need my sleep. And so one thing that's just a non-negotiable in my calendar, 8 hours of sleep. And so no matter how else things are shaken, I've got to get those 8 hours, because anytime I'm hacking into that time, the next day I just pay for it, and I pay for it in a big way. So I literally start with that. When am I getting my sleep? And I find the more I have a fixed kind of bedtime and wake time, That's my first step as I go. As silly as that sounds and as elementary as it is, it's been a powerful multiplier for my productivity. From there, I know that, look, I've got to be eating right, and I've got to be treating my body right, because I require so much from my body and brain. I've got to be like putting in, the foundation there for any of this to be possible. And so I'm making sure that I'm getting the right nutrition. I'm making sure I'm getting, for me, the right training. Even if I'm not training for a big race, just 30 minutes of cardio in a day. There's a lot of science that suggests, hey, that's one of the best things you can do for your brain power. You can do for your happiness, for kind of your stress level. So even those of us that aren't, ultra marathon runners, well, hey, I think still 30 minutes a day could be a great target. And whether that's a jog to the office, an OFO or mobike ride around the neighborhood after the workday, or getting a brisk walk in at lunch, whatever it is for you, I think making time for that's super important. And then now we're actually getting to work. What works for work? Well, plan the work and then work the plan. And so the way that I do that, I time block. I like to get, my brain's a little slow to get going, and it's only once I've got some momentum around an idea do I actually put some good thinking behind it. And so for me, I like to get a 2 or 3 hour time block at least once a day. And frequently for me, we've got a growing team. We're adding new folks all the time. And so I find kind of the 7 to 9:30 a.m. before the day really gets going for us. We have a late start here. That's a great time block for me. Simultaneously, if I'm feeling really stressed about a big deliverable or a big decision, I'll also try to get some time in an afternoon to work through it. In my diet notebook, I'll jot lots of pages worth of scratch notes here as I go, and that helps me clarify my thinking. That helps me be a more effective team lead, and actually reduces the stress by a long shot as well. And so time blocks to actually do good thinking, super critical. And then for each of your key team members, which if we're just starting up, it's everybody, well, make time for a one-to-one each and every day. And it might be as simple as a 5-minute check-in. Hey, what's on your mind? How are things going? Or what's stuck? Anything I should know about? How else can I help you? Or it could be a little bit more, structured and a little bit, it could be a 30, 60, 90-minute check-in as you go. But helping support folks, letting them know when you'll best support them, it creates an expectation around that, and you empower folks more quickly. So instead of being drowned in, do you have a minute, you actually have time for some of that thinking. You have time to then empower folks to do some of that thinking and push through the challenge to get to the furthest point they can before they then come to you for that assistance. And that's one thing that's been just a virtuous cycle. Our team is growing a lot faster on an individual kind of developmental level because they're working through bigger and bigger challenges, and they now have more confidence to do so, more tools, and that there's a multiplier there in the company. Additionally, I think being clear about what is critical now and what we can actually push to tomorrow or push to next week or next month, because there are so many things that you could be doing. And as a startup, a contributor or leader, every day there's more that could be done. But I think the critical element is to figure out what's the highest magnitude impact that also is the lowest resource allocation, and figuring out where on a coordinate plane that fits. And the higher the magnitude and the lower the resource, that's where we should be investing. Whereas obviously things that are of less magnitude that require more work, let's figure out how we can put that off. And that's a really, really critical one that took me a couple of years to learn. I used to be, Dr. Yes about everything, let's go chase it. But ultimately you burn your own candle down, and the battery, the energy reserves and the battery of your teammates gets diminished too. And so focusing more wood behind fewer arrows, as my granddad liked to say, gives you a better shot to really hit your target and to hit it with a meaningful essence. And so that those are a few ways that I've approached work-life balance. To start with fundamental sleep, good diet, good fitness, time block yourself so you have time to really, really think about what's most important. And then also ensure that you're being a good team support too, because ultimately your team is, that's your rocket fuel. It's going to take you to the next level. And so invest in the time therein, and then picking those priorities carefully so that you can do a really good job on them.
So you obviously have a lot on your plate, but it seems like you're having fun with most of it.
Every day.
And so I'm wondering, what's next on your agenda? What's the next big challenge coming up?
Yeah, I've got two, and they're both really firing me up. So the first one is a 250-kilometer ultramarathon that I'm going to be running in the Atacama Desert, driest place on the planet. It's in northern Chile, and I'll be doing that with my dad. So my dad, 65-year-old ultramarathon runner, my hero, my inspiration. And so super, super fired about that. We're training together, and this run is going to be the perfect lead-in to the biggest thing I've ever done. It's called the World Marathon Challenge. And the World Marathon Challenge is running 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. And my aim with all this is to not only finish these marathons in the best way I can, but also to tell stories around it. So I'm aiming to partner with National Geographic's Explorer Classroom to share with young people that the only limits that matter are those that we place upon ourselves, and that each one of us can dream bigger and then do more and do it bigger if we take it step by step by step. And I'm aiming to tell a series of stories around that in both the training and the lead up to all this, during each race, and then afterward as well.
So for those people who are watching, they see Diad and they hear about your story and they're like, wow, that sounds really inspirational, and they want to learn more, maybe they're trying to figure out how they can get involved or collaborate or something like that. What are the opportunities that are existing at the moment with Diad?
Yeah, we here at Diad believe the best team wins. So we're always recruiting, looking for the best possible talent. And we have a lot of opportunities, especially for those aiming to learn more about China, to get their feet wet in China and potentially to relocate in China. We are hiring both for our enrollments team to meet with families and students, learning about their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, connecting them to the right university programs and the right scholarship opportunities, along with opportunities for our mentor team, both here in Shanghai HQ, along with anywhere on the planet. Work anytime, anywhere, from a cafe, from your office, from your dorm room, from your apartment, for the opportunity to actually change the direction of someone's life by being a role model and inspiration, guiding them step by step by step, all while earning $40 per hour. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for someone to actually get plugged in, learn more about China, start building a network and resources. And we'd love for that opportunity to actually connect. And the best way to do so is actually email me, Greg, Greg, @diad.com. I'll learn more about you and your background, your goals, and see if there's a fit, because we'd love to build the best possible team to solve this huge challenge of expanding education access.